All right, let's dive in. We've got a mountain of data today, all about the Indian Energy Exchange, or IEX for short.
Yeah, it looks like reports, presentations, press releases, the whole works.
And our listeners want the inside scoop, right? What do these numbers really tell us about IEX?
Not just about the company itself, though. This is a window into India's whole energy future, isn't it?
Exactly. So much more than just a balance sheet.
Absolutely.
Now, I gotta admit, I'm already intrigued.
Me too.
But first, for anyone who might not be following every twist and turn of the energy market, what exactly is the Indian Energy Exchange? What do they do?
Think of it like a stock market, but instead of shares, you're trading electricity.
Okay, I'm with you.
So IEX, they're the premier energy exchange in India, connecting buyers and sellers across the whole country.
So they're kind of like the matchmakers of the Indian electricity market.
Yeah, exactly. And not just conventional power either.
Oh.
They handled renewable energy certificates, energy saving certificates, the whole shebang.
So they're really at the center of it all.
They are, and get this, they're boasting an 85% market share this fiscal year.
Wow, 85%. That's a pretty dominant position.
Tells you they're the major player in this space.
Definitely. Okay, so let's get down to brass tacks here.
Let's do it.
Their Q3 performance, what's the story? Did they make a profit?
They did.
Spill the beans.
Consolidated profit, meaning including their subsidiaries, stands at 107.3 crore rupees.
Crore rupees, all right. That's significant, right?
It is a jump of 16.9% compared to the same quarter last year.
Not too shabby at all.
Not at all. And even standalone, just IEX itself, saw a 15.5% profit increase.
Okay, so they're making money, which is always a good sign. But what's fueling these results? What's the secret sauce here?
One thing that jumps out from the report is the sheer volume of electricity being traded on IEX.
Like, how much are we talking?
Up almost 16% year on year.
So more electricity is flowing through their exchange than ever before.
That's right.
Wow, that's got to be driven by a whole bunch of factors, right?
It is. There's growing demand for electricity in India, obviously.
Makes sense. The economy's booming.
Exactly. And then you've got IEX. They're offering new, innovative products.
Keeping things fresh.
And of course, you can't ignore the huge surge in activity within the renewable energy sector.
Right. India's pushing hard on that front.
Absolutely.
So what we're seeing here is this fascinating convergence, right? Financial performance, market dynamics, and India's big renewable energy ambitions.
Exactly. And, this report isn't just about the past.
Oh, what do you mean?
It offers some tantalizing clues about what the future might hold.
Give me a sneak peek.
They're talking about battery storage, carbon credit trading, things that could reshape India's energy landscape.
Hold on. Battery storage and carbon credits. So they're really planning for a future where renewables are even more dominant.
It looks that way.
Wow, that's forward thinking.
It is. And, these initiatives, they're not just about technology.
What else then?
They're about shaping the market itself. Battery storage, for example, could help solve the problem of solar and wind power being intermittent.
Right, the sun isn't always shining, the wind isn't always blowing.
Exactly, but if you can store that energy.
So it becomes more reliable, more like a constant source of power.
Precisely, making renewables a more viable option on a larger scale.
So IEX isn't just reacting to the energy transition, they're actively trying to guide it.
It seems that way, yeah.
Fascinating. And this proactive approach, it's popping up in another interesting development, too.
What's that?
This gas exchange they've got going, the Indian Gas Exchange, or IGX.
Ah, yes.
I mean, I thought we were talking about electricity. What's the deal with that?
It's all part of their strategy, right? Positioning themselves within this larger energy transition.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
Okay, so India wants to diversify its energy mix.
Moving away from coal, becoming more sustainable.
Exactly. And natural gas, well, it's emerging as a key transition fuel.
A stepping stone, you mean?
Exactly. So IEX isn't putting all their eggs in one basket. They're recognizing that the future will likely involve a mix of different energy sources.
Makes sense. Hedge your bets.
And they want to be the facilitators, no matter which way the wind blows, so to speak.
Okay, I'm starting to see the bigger picture here.
It's a smart play.
It really is. They're thinking several steps ahead, anticipating the changes that are coming, and making sure they're at the forefront of this whole energy revolution.
Absolutely.
Now, there's one more thing in this report that really caught my eye.
Oh, let's hear it.
They mention these capacity building workshops for electricity distribution companies.
Oh, those are interesting.
What are those all about? Are they like teaching these companies how to use the exchange?
That's part of it, yeah, but it goes deeper, I think.
Okay, I'm listening.
IEX, they're not just running a platform, are they? They're trying to educate, shape the market itself.
So they're investing in a more sophisticated, efficient energy ecosystem overall,
Exactly. It's not just about providing a service, it's about raising the bar for the entire industry.
which in the long run benefits them as well, right?
Absolutely. A rising tide lifts all boats, as they say.
Right. Okay, so we've got a pretty good picture of IEX so far. Financially sound, strategically positioned, and actively involved in shaping India's energy future.
It's a compelling story.
It is, but I gotta ask, what does this all mean for the average person? Why should someone listening to this care about what's happening with IEX?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something we'll dig into more as we continue this deep dive.
All right, tease. I'm hooked.
Because, the decisions IEX is making today, they're going to ripple outwards.
Impacting people's lives in a very real way.
Absolutely. It could affect the price of electricity, India's ability to meet its climate goals. The list goes on.
Okay, I'm officially on the edge of my seat. This is about so much more than just one company's financials.
Oh, yeah.
This is about the future of energy in one of the world's most dynamic economies.
And you know what? As we dig deeper into these documents, I think we're going to uncover even more insights into the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Well, let's not waste any more time then. Let's get to it.
Sounds good to me. One thing that really jumps out at me from these reports is how IEX is approaching this energy transition. They seem to really get India's unique challenges.
What do you mean? Aren't energy transitions basically the same everywhere?
I don't think so, no.
Yeah.
India's situation particularly complex.
In what way?
Well, you've got this rapidly growing economy, a massive population, and then there's the huge reliance on coal for electricity.
Yeah, it's not like they can just flip a switch and suddenly everything's powered by solar panels.
Exactly. It's a balancing act. They need to keep up with this huge energy demand while also, trying to clean up their act.
I see what you mean. And it's not like coal is going away anytime soon, right?
Right. IEX's investor presentation actually mentions that thermal power plants, which mostly burn coal, still account for a whopping 74% of India's electricity generation.
Wow, 74%. That's a big chunk.
It is. And get this, coal production actually went up in the last fiscal year.
So even though they have these ambitious goals for renewable energy, they're also dealing with the reality that coal is going to be around for a while.
Exactly. It's a transition, not a revolution.
Makes sense. So where does IEX fit into all of this? How can they help India navigate this tricky situation?
Well, that's where their role as this market facilitator becomes so important.
Okay, break that down for me.
They're providing the platform, right, for efficient allocation of resources, making sure that the power gets to where it's needed, regardless of the source.
So whether it's coal, solar, wind, even natural gas, IEX is there to make sure it all flows smoothly.
Exactly. And that's where this whole market-based approach comes in.
Tell me in.
So IEX isn't dictating what energy sources India should use. They're creating a transparent marketplace, letting supply and demand do their thing.
So theoretically, that should lead to the most efficient use of whatever resources are available.
That's the idea.
Interesting. So they're kind of like the referees, making sure everyone plays fair.
That's a great way to put it. And it's this market-driven approach that makes IEX so well-suited to support this transition. As the mix of energy sources changes, the market can adapt without relying solely on the government.
I see what you mean. It's more organic.
Exactly. But of course, government policies and regulations, those still play a huge role.
For sure. Are there any specific ones that we should be paying attention to? Ones that could have a big impact on IEX's future?
Definitely. One of the key drivers for IEX's growth has been the introduction of new market mechanisms. Take the LPSC rules, for example,
LPSC. Remind me what that stands for.
like payment surcharge rules.
Ah, right. It basically mandates that power generators offer a certain amount of their unused power on the exchanges, right?
That's it. And the investor presentation actually says this is expected to increase sell-side liquidity, basically giving buyers more options and potentially leading to lower prices.
Makes sense. More competition usually means better prices for consumers.
Exactly. But it's not just about increasing the volume of trading. It's about creating a more diverse and competitive market overall.
Got it. So IEX is constantly pushing for new products and services, things like longer duration contracts, derivatives. I even saw something about carbon credits.
Oh yeah, carbon credits. That's a whole other ball game.
It seems like if India is serious about meeting their climate goals, they'll need a way to track and trade those emissions reductions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And IEX, they're positioning themselves to be a key player in that market as well.
Smart move. So they're not just adapting to the energy transition, they're actively shaping it.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Now, going back to renewable energy for a second,
Yeah.
India has these ambitious targets for increasing solar and wind power, right?
Right, but as we all know, those sources can be a bit finicky.
Exactly. That's the big challenge, isn't it?
Yeah.
Integrating large amounts of renewable energy into the grid, you have to deal with intermittency.
The sun doesn't always shine, wind doesn't always blow.
Precisely. But IEX is tackling this head on. They're exploring and promoting new market models and technologies to address this very issue.
Like what? What are they doing to make renewable energy more reliable?
One key area is battery storage. Remember those BS systems we talked about earlier?
Battery energy storage systems, right. Those seem like a big deal.
They are. BSS essentially lets you store excess solar power generated during the day and release it later.
So you can use it at night or when the wind isn't blowing.
Exactly. It smooths out those peaks and troughs in renewable energy production.
Ah, so it's like a giant backup battery for the whole grid.
That's a great way to think about it. And IEX is actively promoting the development and integration of BSS into the Indian electricity market.
So they're not just waiting for the technology to mature, they're actively trying to create a market for it.
Exactly. They recognize that a strong market for energy storage is essential for India to achieve its renewable goals.
Okay, this is all starting to paint a really interesting picture. It seems like IEX is thinking very strategically about how to position itself, not just as a platform for energy trading, but as a catalyst for India's whole energy transition.
They are, and their move into the gas market is another great example of this forward-thinking approach.
Right. We talked about the Indian Gas Exchange, the IGX earlier. What's the latest there? How's that venture going?
The IGX is definitely gaining traction.
How so?
They're seeing big increases in trading volumes. And there's huge potential for growth because India's natural gas consumption is projected to skyrocket over the next few years.
Which makes sense, right? If they're trying to move away from coal, natural gas seems like a logical next step.
Precisely. And what's really cool is that IGX isn't just focused on conventional natural gas.
Really?
Yeah. They're exploring innovative things like trading certificates for biocompressed natural gas. CBG is called.
CBG, what's that all about?
It's a renewable fuel made from organic waste.
So even in the gas market, they're pushing for cleaner alternatives.
They are. And it doesn't stop there. They're even laying the groundwork for hydrogen trading in the future.
Hydrogen, that's next level stuff.
I know, right? It just highlights how IEX is constantly looking ahead, anticipating those next waves of energy innovation and making sure they're ready.
So they're not just riding the wave, they're helping to create it.
Exactly. Which brings us to another crucial aspect of their strategy,
Hit me.
promoting open access in the energy market.
Open access, I'm not sure I follow.
Basically, it means allowing consumers to choose their electricity supplier instead of being stuck with their local utility.
Oh, okay. So kind of like how we can choose our phone company or internet provider.
Exactly. IEX believes open access is essential for competition, driving down prices, and ultimately accelerating the adoption of renewable energy.
Because if consumers have more choices, they're more likely to choose cleaner and more affordable options.
That's the thinking, and IEX is actively advocating for open access policies and educating consumers about the benefits.
That's a bold move. But I imagine there's some pushback from the traditional players in the energy market.
Oh, for sure. There are definitely some vested interests who might not be thrilled about this, but IEX seems determined to move forward. They argue that it's crucial for a more dynamic and consumer-centric market.
Wow. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. Market approaches, government regulations, new products, gas, open access. It's clear that IEX has a big vision for the future.
They do, and they're backing it up with action. But as I'm reading through these reports, one question keeps popping into my head.
What's that?
How are they actually managing the day-to-day challenges of integrating all this renewable energy into the grid? You know, it's one thing to have goals and models, but making it all work in practice seems incredibly complex.
Yeah, it's easy to talk about a future powered by solar and wind, but actually doing it requires overcoming some serious technical hurdles.
Exactly. And that's where IEX's expertise in market design and real-time trading comes in. You can't just plug a solar panel into the grid and call it a day. You need a system that can handle the ups and downs of renewable energy sources.
So it's about more than just buying and selling energy. It's about creating a system that can balance supply and demand in real time, even when the supply is coming from sources that are inherently variable.
Exactly. And IEX is doing this by developing new products and trading mechanisms that allow for more flexibility.
They're working with grid operators, renewable energy developers, even consumers, right? trying to find creative solutions.
That's right. They're not just building a platform, they're building a whole ecosystem to support the integration of renewables.
That sounds like a massive undertaking. But from what we've seen, they seem up to the challenge.
They are. And their commitment to technological advancement is another key part of their strategy.
Speaking of technology, I noticed in the investor presentation that IEX is putting a lot of resources into upgrading their infrastructure.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They know technology is key to their success.
They're talking about moving to a more robust microservices architecture, implementing advanced security measures, even using AI for monitoring and optimization.
They're not just sitting back and watching the tech world pass them by.
Makes sense. As the energy market gets more complex, they need a platform that can handle it.
Exactly. They're building a system that's reliable, secure, agile, and scalable. All the things they need to support India's growing energy market for years to come.
Okay, so we've talked about market design, technology, diversification, but what about the people? How are they managing their own growth, making sure they have the right talent and expertise to handle all of this?
That's a great question. IEX seems very aware of how important their people are. I saw something about capacity building workshops for their employees in one of the reports,
Right, and they're really emphasizing their focus on customer centricity too.
which in this case means the electricity companies, generators, and traders who use their platform.
Exactly, they're not just building a platform, they're building a community.
And that takes strong relationships, good communication, understanding your customers' needs.
It's all connected. I'm also seeing a lot about streamlining processes, improving the user experience on their platform.
That's crucial. They need to make energy trading easy and intuitive.
Right. If their platform is too complex, it'll slow down the whole market.
It's all about finding that balance, Technical expertise and a focus on building a strong, supportive ecosystem.
It seems to be working for them. They've built a loyal customer base, established themselves as the leader in energy trading in India.
No doubt about it. They're doing a lot of things right.
All right, we've covered a ton of ground today. IEX's financials are solid. They're leading the way in India's energy evolution. They're investing in technology, building a strong community. But as I'm looking through these documents one last time, something keeps jumping out at me.
What's that?
It's this emphasis on transparency and accountability.
Ah, yes. It's woven throughout these reports. Their commitment to a fair, open, and transparent marketplace.
And it makes sense, right? In a market as crucial as energy, trust is everything.
Absolutely. If participants don't trust the platform or the process, the whole system falls apart. So, IEX is clearly working hard to build that trust through transparency.
It's like they're saying, hey, we're not just here to make money. We're here to build a sustainable and equitable energy future for India, and that means operating ethically.
Exactly. And those values are reflected in everything they do, from their market design to how they interact with customers.
It's refreshing to see a company that's not just talking the talk, but actually walking the walk when it comes to ethics and sustainability.
I agree. It sets a great example not just for other energy companies, but for all businesses.
Okay, I think we've officially unpacked this mountain of data, but I have a feeling this is just the beginning of our exploration of IEX and India's energy future.
Oh, I think you're right. There's so much more to discover here, and I bet IEX will continue to be at the center of it all.
So after this deep dive, I'm left with one big question. How will IEX handle the challenges of integrating more and more renewable energy into the grid? They seem to have a good plan, but the execution is going to be key. That's the billion-dollar question. We could spend hours discussing that. But you know what I find particularly interesting? They're not just focused on the technical aspects. They're also thinking about the market mechanisms and regulatory frameworks that need to be in place.
Right. It's not just about having enough solar panels and wind turbines. It's about making sure the whole system can handle renewable energy.
Exactly. And that requires a holistic approach, from grid infrastructure to pricing policies to consumer behavior.
So it's not just a technological challenge, it's a societal one as well.
Absolutely. It's not just about building a better power grid, it's about a more sustainable energy future for India, right?
Yeah, and that's what I find so interesting about IEX's approach.
What do you mean?
They're not just focused on the tech, the nuts and bolts of the transition. They're thinking about the bigger picture, how this impacts society, making sure everyone benefits from cleaner energy.
That's a really important point. We've talked a lot about the technical stuff, the grid, battery storage markets.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, this is about people.
absolutely.
It's about making sure everyone has access to clean, affordable, reliable power.
And that's where IEX's focus on transparency, on working with everyone really makes a difference.
How so?
They're not just making decisions on their own in a bubble.
Right.
They're talking to communities, businesses, policymakers, even consumers.
Trying to get everyone on board.
Exactly, making sure this transition is fair and inclusive.
That's a perspective you don't always see. It's not just about profits or fancy tech.
It's about a shared vision, a better future.
And that's what's been so eye-opening about this deep dive, right? We've gone beyond just the numbers.
Yeah, fine.
We've gotten a glimpse of what this energy transition could really mean for India.
And IEX is right there in the thick of it, pushing things forward, shaping markets, leading the way.
It's an exciting story, and it's not over yet.
Not even close. I think we'll be talking about this for years to come.
I agree. There's so much more to explore, so much potential.
Lots of challenges too, of course.
For sure. But I'm curious, what's the one thing that you're taking away from all of this?
You know, for me, it's this transition, it's about people, like we were saying.
More than just technology and economics.
Exactly. The decisions being made today, they'll affect people's lives for generations.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm feeling, well, a mix of optimism and realism, I guess.
Also?
Optimism because there's so much innovation, so much progress happening.
Yeah.
But also realism because this transition, it's complex. There will be bumps along the way.
There always are. But I think IEX's approach shows us a way forward.
Yeah.
They're finding that balance between economic growth, technology, and social responsibility.
It's a good model, one that other companies, even other countries, could learn from.
Absolutely. This energy transition, it's a global challenge. We need everyone working together.
Well said. And to everyone listening, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into IEX and India's energy journey.
We hope you found it insightful, maybe even spark some new ideas.
Keep those documents coming. We love digging into this stuff.
And until next time, stay curious, stay engaged.
Because the future of energy, it's being written right now, and we all have a part to play in shaping it.